Vast, you've permanently ruined the search algorithm for our Durnami channel with that Dragon MILF video.
Wait, what? I did
There's
what?
there's a suggested video on our Durnami YouTube channel that's called Monsty Shots The Courtship.
What?
The cancer it spreads.
And I'm blaming you because you sent us that Dragon MILF video.
That is news to me. Can I tell you, I saw that video before, and I've never seen something like that pop up on my YouTube algorithms. So I guess I should ask, what were your follow-up videos in response to NCH Productions' video on, what is her name? Kulturov, aka the Dragon MILF.
I stopped there, and also I switched back to my personal channel because that's where the algorithm is not fucked up.
Oh man.
But anyway, we'll check levels and we'll be on our way shortly.
Oh no, I just checked levels. If our Arcadis just has something to say, then we can get going. But we sounded fine. Also, I call shenanigans, aka lies, because again, I haven't had something like that pop up on my channel, and I have multiple YouTube channels.
I know not what to say.
How do you follow up Dragon MILF?
You don't.
All right, Arcadis, you're a little low, but that might be an
How about
energy
now?
thing.
How about
Just
now?
talk a little bit
Now?
more.
Talking a little bit more. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. And I'm moving the mic slightly closer to my mouth, and that's pretty much where it was the last time I podcasted.
All right, that sounds good.
Cool. Alright, so, you guys, we just watched Ubisoft Forward, their digital press conference, in here, this age of COVID when no one can stand next to each other.
Hmm.
And we have a number of things to talk about. They had a few games that we knew that they were working on. I don't think there were any real curveballs with any of it. They showed some Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They showed some Hyperscape, which might be the most curveball-y thing that they've been working on.
Maybe.
They did not show any Beyond Good and Evil 2. They showed
No,
some
they did
Watchdog
not.
Legion. They showed a cinematic for Far Cry 6. And what else did they show? Is that everything?
Yeah, Watchdog Legions, Brawlhalla, Might and Magic, Era of Chaos, Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, Rainbow Six Siege, Hyperscape, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay. Well, I'm immediately going to write off all of the mobile games that we saw because I'm not interested in any
Yeah.
of that crap.
Mobile games tend to be excessively time wasty. I mean, most people might call most video games like that, but the controls are not nice and fluid. It depends on how good your phone is, and they just never tend to be that good. At least for me. I just don't like the interface of a mobile game.
Yeah, me neither. I know Vast plays
Yeah.
a few, I think.
I have played a few in the past, but those are mostly either anime tied titles. So I've played One Piece Treasure Cruise. I played the oh gosh, what is that? Fire Emblem mobile game, just to compare it to an actual Fire Emblem Game Boy game to see what that experience is like. Bordered on predatory, Nintendo. I'm just saying. It wasn't there yet, but I could see how easily it could be if they just like switch some stuff up. So yeah, that's mainly where it was. I think the longest mobile game like affair I've ever had was with a game called Seven Nights, and I was really just there to see how they, after a certain point, to see how they continue to the progress the character remodels and gameplay rebooting and adding in new characters into the game to make it
So
sustainable.
beyond the
Um,
honeymoon phase.
yeah, basically. And it seemed like they were working really hard to do that. But that's a whole nother conversation. The only really thing that we could say about the ones that they mentioned for Ubisoft Forward were, they were mobile games and they're now available on mobile apps, or they're, regular games that are now available on mobile apps. So, like Brawlhalla.
To
Yeah.
me, it just doesn't make sense in terms of Rainbow Six Siege to put such a high, typically for consoles, what is it in very high intensity game, high level of accuracy needed game on a mobile device.
Well, they weren't
Uh,
putting Siege on mobile. That was a different game.
Yeah,
that was Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, right? Where they took their, what were they called? What do you call those?
They took all their
Recognizable characters.
memorable
personas.
characters.
Yeah, and place them in. I can't even really tell what kind of game it is, just based on the trailer that they showed us. Some kind of tactical hero shooter, maybe.
Who knows?
Something like that.
It's possible
Well,
that at this point in development, they don't even know what this game is.
There is a high possibility for that.
Like, we have these assets and we want you to put all of these into one game, and we want you to do the shooty shoots, and there's gonna be bad guys,
Yeah.
and that's
There needs to
all
be
that
pew
they're
pews,
given.
and there needs to be these characters. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure, and I'm also not interested. So,
yep.
what I was more interested in would be like, now, truth be told, the only thing that really grabbed me was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I've been thinking about that game for a while. The others, I'm not interested in, really. Like,
I never played any of the other Watch Dogs, so this Watch Dog is. It had some unique things that I definitely seen were a lot better than the previous Watch Dog games. Like they added a lot more, I guess, aspects and ways to do things, but it's still not quite my game.
So let's
yeah.
talk about Watch Dogs. Like, from what they showed us a short film
Hmm.
that started their presentation. Well, Watch Dogs was the game that started the Ubisoft Forward presentation, and it began with a short film, and then they had a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of characters, and just a little bit of like story and strategy.
Hmm.
So, what did we think about that presentation?
I thought the short film was cool. I thought the way that they set the world up is kind of cool in a way. I'm worried that they're trying to make a return to the era of games where everything was in grayscale.
Really? I didn't think that London looked like that.
Well, they had quite a few heavily saturated neon colors, right? You saw a lot of pinks and yellows and blues and greens and stuff like that. But if you
It's your
took,
typical proto cyberpunk.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you took a look at all the rest of the colors, they're all grays. Like, the only things that
Dark
they
streets,
had
dirty
were
streets,
like
yeah, alleyway.
But
they
that's
had
London.
color. They had color for emphasis, but everything else was just bleh. You know what I mean?
But that's London.
Yeah, that literally is London.
I mean, like, I totally get what you're saying. Like, I really do. But, and not to, like, I'm punching down or punching up on London or anything like that, but, like, it's an older established city, which means that a lot of the city there are a lot of areas in the city that are stone. Stone is typically grayish, um,
Grayish.
grayish, and it is a city that, in general, kind of prides itself on being like traditional. So while there are modern areas of London, it's still very much around that like old world type, you know, city construction. And it, just to repeat myself, like that means a lot of stone and grayish.
Yep.
Rage. I've never heard that term before.
Well, it's a
I
good
like
one.
it.
It works here.
Coming
It
Yeah.
to an
works here.
encyclopedia near you.
Rage.
Uh, I will agree to you though that I did like the short film sequence, and when we were watching it together, we mentioned that you can 100% tell that they were heavily influenced by the recent Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
definitely.
twisting and the turning and the flipping.
Yeah, there was like a couple of character model poses that were straight out of Spider-Man when like the person was on the bus and then
Hmm.
like leaping from like either one bus to another bus. I forget the actual sequence of events, but they leapt, and I was like, oh, that's totally a Spider-Man move. And then they capped some of the momentum or some of the action sequences with that kind of effect that they had in Into the Spider Verse, where they showed the universe or the multiverse was like occurring, where it
Hmm.
was like a burst of colors and like black heavily lined comic like symbols or something like that. And so a similar effect was going on in the film. And I'm not saying that to hate on it or knock it. I just really loved it, and I just love again how much that movie has like fanned out and influenced things because the animation there was great.
Yeah, it really was. But I think that was the best thing of their Watch Dogs Legion presentation because the game doesn't grab me. Like I've played both Watch Dogs 1 and 2 and they iterated relatively well between games, but this game it's not going to do it. I don't see a reason to purchase this title.
You don't enjoy the idea of building your own crew of scoundrels and technical hackers and construction men and seeing how you can use them to fight.
I
With
mean,
nail
the
guns and
granny.
all that.
You can beat everyone with your purse. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone.
Taser Granny.
Taser Granny.
Um, I like the idea of your squad or army being whoever you want to recruit. I like the idea that you can be able to play any of them. But I would like a character that I can call my own.
Too
And
much diversity
that
going
is
on.
not going to be a thing that's going to be in Watch Dogs Legion, especially when earlier on they advertised that if one of your characters dies, they are gone forever.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And
Is that a gameplay mechanic that you haven't encountered very often?
I don't encounter that very often. It was in Fire Emblem,
Yeah.
and I played a little bit of Fire Emblem when that happened, and I was equally as turned off by it then as I am now.
Well, that's the reason why I was asking because I was thinking to myself that's an aspect that you do see in Fire Emblem, and so it's something that I'm used to, and it doesn't phase me, but I'm also the person who plays not to lose characters.
Yeah. And I'm sure you could do something very similar with Watch Dogs Legion. I'm even pretty certain that you could pick one character and never recruit anybody else and just choose to main that person and do everything as if they were your avatar, right? But
Hmm.
that it would not be my character. That's a character that was like pre-chosen by the Watch Dogs Legion algorithm to be whatever that person was.
hmm
And that's not what I
Ah,
want. That's not what I
Rando
want
extraordinaire.
out of that kind of video game. You know what I mean?
A good anchored
There's not
protagonist.
there's not
it
anything for me to rally around when that is that way.
I think that's the
It's
difference, though. They want you to rally around the idea of what Watch Dogs represents in terms of the collective, like a community of people, rather than a single person. And I think that's really one of the main tenets of the game. But like you said, it's not going to appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
I just find that so interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend, and this is something that we've actually talked about too, which is kind of like the difference between like a JRPG and a Western RPG, and what it means narratively for the games to have like a really strong central protagonist, but you're just following that person around. You're there for the ride versus you're the person who actually makes the decisions for the character. Like you create, you either have your character creator or you're making actual Mass Effects type decisions to influence.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
does that fall in there any kind of way?
It does in a way. I could play Mass Effect in a way that it would much more reflect my ideas rather than just constantly thinking that Noctis is a bitch. Because he is. And I have no way of
No, he
controlling.
wasn't. Wait a minute,
I
I missed
have
all. Wait, I missed that.
I
What?
have no control over the bitchitude of Noctis, whereas I have control
You
over the
take that back.
bitchitude of Shepard.
You take that back. This was awesome. What?
Oh, that's funny. I
But
thought it was.
I just think that's really interesting, and that's one day I'll be able to actually articulate everything that I'm thinking of when it comes to that, because I think it's a really cool conversation. But I don't think it's going to happen here because I don't think I'm going to play Watch Dogs either. Although now I'm kind of interested in as just like an experiment. And then also, not while I'm fighting Alatrion.
You're playing a mentally
No,
intense game while we're
no,
podcasting, Vast?
no,
How dare you? I'm hurt.
I'm not.
She's like, no,
That
no,
doesn't that doesn't
no.
sound genuine, Vast.
Look, we just broke a horn, and we got him to fall over.
Oh man. All right. Well, if you can do both, then I
Rock on.
guess that's possible. I guess. I'll let it slide this time.
Oh, thank you, Monsignor. Whatever would we do without your grace?
Oh,
So,
man.
what did we think just before we move off of the topic of Watch Dogs? I know we were, settling this stuff, but what did you think about the different characters that they highlighted? Because they gave us a few, not just Granny, but they had not John Wick and Hacker and Granny and construction worker
Mhm.
and drunk guy in the bar. So, what did you think about at least the diversity of characters that you have there?
I think that was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
they definitely they're going to have all walks and types, and I think part of that is going to be based on their algorithm combination of the kinds of people you can have on the team. And because there's so many different options and play styles, I definitely see them capitalizing every bit of that they can.
Yeah. It's going to be cool to see the diversity that comes out of this game. I don't know whether or not it's going to be like actually reflect the demographics of London, which would be kind of cool, but um which would also be kind of Ubisoft's thing because they like to anchor it in reality in a way,
Yeah.
or at least they used to. They've kind of flown off the rails in the last decade, but they used to have that touch of like historicalness, right? So
Yeah.
that might be an interesting thing, but dude, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Pro- Most likely will not play, sadly.
That's fair.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
not for everyone.
definitely not. So what? None
Well,
of us are going to be playing Legion?
I might. Well, it depends on how busy we are. I might just for as an experience because I haven't played a Watchdog game before.
Mm-hmm.
And so it might, as part of Durnami's promise to like try things out for our viewer.
I guess.
So that our viewer can make informed decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So we've ruled out that not we're not playing mobile games. We're not playing Watch Dogs Legion. What's the next game that we're not going to be playing?
Well, Rainbow Six Siege, which
Okay. Okay. They had most of what they had with that was purely we've been working on this game for 5 years and you've supported us. Thank you very much. Kind of a presentation for that, right?
hmm
They didn't
Mhm.
really show us anything new or even show us a direction that they were going. They were just like, "Hey, thank you for giving us money."
Yeah.
But they did have some a little bit of information in there. The one of the things is that the creative director mentioned that they are not planning for an immediate sequel to the game. They're just going to continue with Rainbow Six Siege,
Yeah, and that's pretty
and
cool.
yeah, it must. Well, I mean, clearly it's very successful, but it is very successful.
Yeah, definitely. Spawned a whole
Quite.
esports league and all that
Oh
junk.
yeah. Intense. A little too intense for my taste,
Yeah.
personally.
And that is one of the rare games on this lineup that Arcadius and I have both played and also both put down.
Yeah, it like I could sit there and focus and do pretty well at it, but then like I'd be exhausted after I got done playing, and I was never that exhausted after playing like Battlefield, which I consider far more leisure in its mechanics, type, and
Oh yeah,
style.
definitely,
And
definitely.
so the fact that most of my video game play is usually for leisure and not for esports level change my life, I want to make money type thing. Yeah, Rainbow Six just wasn't for me. It was fun, but intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll agree to that. It was not the type of gaming experience that I want when I sit down to play a video game. And I know that you've said that many, many times, Vast, when we were talking about other games where we always fight about whether or not we're going to be playing them as a group or anything like that.
Hmm. So next on the list, speaking of games that we probably won't fight about, but games we're probably not going to play, Hyperscape.
Ooh, Hyperscape. Battle Royale. So no, that's a no for me, dog. I'm very worried that that game. It sounds so inspired by the Oasis from Ready Player One, and our longtime viewer will know my opinion of the book Ready Player One.
Also, I,
That's what it
I I
spawns.
wanted to say Ready Player One, but I wasn't. Uh, I was gonna wait and see what else was said. But yeah,
Is that what you thought of too? Of like the
yeah.
way
Like
they
as
set up their
soon as it popped
world
up, I
and
was like, Ready Player One. Like just that was it. Like I pretty much thought it was a revamped version of Ready Player One.
what did you think, Fast? You're being quiet right now. Is it because you're concentrating on a different game?
I've been talking this entire time. What are you
Someone
talking
breaking
about?
horns.
What? No?
Yes, quite.
I also thought of Ready Player One, except that I couldn't remember the name of the thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we're all in consensus then, I suppose.
So,
That's
what did you guys think about the gameplay? Because that's the thing that I've noticed with your bigger battle royales now. Like the game itself, the mechanics are all the same, or not the same, but like the basics of the game are the same. And now everyone is just iterating on um, what are those things called? Like little things to differentiate themselves.
yeah. What makes
Well,
them
it
unique?
looked better than Apex Legends, so I'll put that out there. But I didn't think it was. So I thought it was a lot more vertical. It was a lot faster, if that can actually be said about that, than Apex. But I think what they did is they took some of the hindrances of Apex, where you had to like physically go find and earn certain mods and power-ups, and just made them standard. So now everybody has stuff that they were buying for in previous games, where now you just start with that stuff, and all you're focused on are weapons, unique power-ups, and that's about it. And your objective, and where you are relative to what gear you have on.
I like the idea of when you like find a piece of gear that is the same with what you have or what you've already encountered, it's not just a useless thing.
Oh yeah, it upgrades.
I think that's a good idea because
Yep.
it takes out the problem of like repetition in what you find, right? It has a
Yeah.
use even though what you have is the same. And that's a good idea. It also introduces an interesting problem of like resource denial when
Mm.
everybody's grabbing up everything because it's still useful.
Yeah.
Might be an interesting take on everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
them resources are not infinite, and they start de-digitizing away with everything else. So
yeah.
you gotta pick it up or you lose it.
I think the way that they did that was also relatively cool because they made no how do I say this? They completely embraced the idea of playing in a digital world, right? So they could play around with it being digital and not have to go for the whole realism thing and have to explain why the map gets smaller
Yeah, because it's digitally explained.
because it's digital. You know what I mean? And the way that they shrink the map is kind of interesting. I don't know whether or not you're going to be able to continually survive outside that map or anything like that. That would kind of break the game if you could,
Yeah.
but um,
And
I
I don't think that they didn't mention it in the actual gameplay itself or the video itself, but it looked like the expectation was that you come in um, to the non-digitized like sector um, because you can't survive outside of there.
yeah, and that's usually how battle royales go.
One thing that I noticed, at least with this game, which may not be a criticism that was laid towards Fortnite, but was laid towards Respawn and Apex Legends, was how they're attempting to do their battle pass and their content updates. It looks like they are already having that is already being planned out fairly well in advance. Where I think when Apex Legends first dropped, the success was really unplanned, and so when it came time for them to prepare like the battle pass system or the things that you're giving players for progression, they didn't really have a plan in place, and so there's a lot of complaints for their first round of like cosmetics and um, whatever else comes in those battle pass type things. It's
They're
been a long time since I've
earnables.
The
yeah, your
stuff.
earnables. But it sounded like Hyperscape is
Already
not going to
planned
do
for
that.
this, yeah.
Yeah, Anthem.
Mm.
What I will
Mm.
say,
The black eye returns, I see.
what I will say about Hyperscape is that their style is nice, right?
Yeah.
Visually, it's nice. I will give
All
it that.
all of those outfits are nice and clean.
Chef's kiss.
The guns look
Yeah.
cool
Mwah.
and they seem varied in a predictable shooter kind of way. Um, it's just like they decided to go enter the battle royale space, and I'm not about that life.
Yeah, I was while watching the gameplay. I do want to say this, and if I was focusing too hard on something else while we had this conversation, I apologize. But I
Uh,
really liked the movement of the game, that's the only thing that would get me to try at least the beta. I'm not particularly good at battle royales, and a lot of them I don't enjoy because it prevents me from doing the things that I do enjoy in PvP situations,
Hmm.
and that is like have a really thrilling mode of travel across a map. It's one of the reasons why I really liked the PvP in Titan Spawn, and why I was very disappointed in the PvP that you find in Apex Legends. It just felt like going backwards.
Yeah.
Well, like the gunplay was fine. It's just, since a lot of your move sets were tied to specific characters, you didn't have that really fun, cool parkour mechanic for every character. It was just like one or two.
Yeah.
Um, and
My problem
then
with battle royales is they are too instant. Like when they're done, and that's it, and it ends abruptly, and you've got to go find another game. It's
Yeah.
like, but I wanted to keep playing. I didn't want to just be done, and all it takes is one mistake, and you're done, and now you got
Mhm.
to go find something else to do. To me, it's too abrupt of a leisure play type of game type. Even though I can tell they're trying to speed it up and they're trying to make it quicker, because that battle royale didn't actually last that long, but it's just not a fulfilling game type to me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Hyperscape is iterating on the respawn mechanic, and they do give you the ability to bring a character from your team back, and they show that it's not just a passive move for you, the player who's down. You actually have to take your ghost form and go to whatever panel or floor, I forget what they called it, but whatever panel or floorboard
Yeah.
area to be respawned. You actually have to make it there, I guess, within a certain amount of time so your team can bring you back. So
Didn't
even though you're down and it might be a while, it's not like you're completely down forever if your teammates care about you the slightest bit.
didn't they say that respawn pad is where you've killed an enemy before?
Yeah, so it's a give and take.
So
You'll
if
only
you
find a
haven't
respawn pad if an
killed an
enemy has
enemy,
died.
if you
You know,
haven't killed an enemy, you won't be able to respawn.
exactly. You're
So
You're
there is
give
a
gonna
and
have to
give.
take.
down somebody in order to get
Yes, it's
somebody
a given.
back.
It's to encourage the team play aspect that if you kill an enemy team member, you get to bring a team member back,
Yeah.
but you don't get to do that. Now, the one thing they didn't say is how far does that little digital ghost thing last? Because you might be able to travel far until you find the next downed enemy, but it might be within a certain perimeter, and if you don't find them or kill someone within that perimeter, you don't get to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the other. I guess there's the opposite end of that. What if you kill somebody early on from that same team? Can you, the down player, go to the person that was killed 30 seconds ago, or does it have to be after your death?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
There's another idea too that I'm thinking about, and that is, what if you're part of a team and you intentionally down yourself and become a ghost and then just follow enemies around and queue out where
Mm,
everybody is?
that's a good point.
Because you
That
can't
is
be
a good
seen and you
point.
can't be killed as the ghost or
And then
anything
all
like
of a
that.
sudden, like, you're thinking, oh, you had two of your enemies get down. All of a sudden, like, two teams worth of people are vying for your respawn point to then just start clamoring their way back.
Yeah,
That could be intense.
yeah. I don't know how that's gonna
Yeah.
work out.
Yeah, because we didn't have a lot of information there. We can say though that the open beta is going on right now on PC. Maybe, oh, I was going to say maybe before Ghost of Tsushima, but no. But maybe Scorch, like this Wednesday or Thursday, we might take a trip in just to see what it's about and come back to and report to our viewer. So
Ooh.
maybe.
Ooh. Ooh.
I hear the sound of yuck.
Ooh.
Is that a weed whacker? What's happening?
Wing, ding, 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 ding. Oh, yeah, I'm wholly not interested in that game. I'm sorry, Vast.
No, I look, I like I said, I'm not. I'm interested in trying it in the same way that I'm interested in trying like most betas uh, of games that are relatively interesting, just to see like what is this developer doing, how are they like approaching the kind of problems that we just discussed. If it's the battle royale genre, how are they making like these tiny incremental adjustments, or are they wholesale trying something new to bring in and then keep players? Um, and what does Ubisoft have besides being Ubisoft versus what Cliffy B had with
Lawbreakers,
Lawbreakers?
that
Because
failure pile of a game.
to me the movement system was closer to that than anything that we've seen in this similar arena. Although that wasn't a uh, battle royale, it did seem similar in scope in terms of movement and gunplay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
these are
know
just
where you're gonna
questions
go
that we
from that.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I might try it and report back to our viewer. So,
that'd be great. That'd be great. Danny would love to hear about that game. I don't even know if Danny is into battle royales.
I don't think they are.
I'm gonna
Well,
doubt that one. I
you
don't
could
think
still
that
do
one.
it in a shameless attempt to grab viewership.
Yeah, but that'd be a
Sure.
fail stream. That would be like a fail.
Yeah.
It'll just be me cursing
Well, that
because
is
I'm trying to
entertaining.
play it. Yeah, I guess because I'm trying to play it on PC. Uh,
So what's the
and
next
not use.
game that we want to talk about and
There's only one game left.
not play? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Have we
there's only
talked about
one game
everything else?
left.
It's just Valhalla?
Yeah. Oh, Far Cry 6.
Yeah, that's another game I'm not gonna play.
Have you played any of the previous Far Cries?
I've played
Have
2,
we?
3, 4, and 5. And Primal.
And Primal.
So safe to say you
So
played a lot of Far Cry.
I've played a lot of Far Cry. All of them are the same. It's
Very
like
samey.
same shit, different day.
Mm.
And I
you're gonna have to.
feel I feel like that's a problem with Ubisoft games because iteration is their motto. You know what I mean? Every
Mm.
every single Ubisoft game is an iteration of the things that come previously. And Far
Mm.
Cry
Ooh, hot takes.
has that in spades. The gunplay has never changed. The idea that you want to rally around bringing down a charismatic bad guy has never changed.
Interesting.
Your equipment list, regardless of where you are, has never changed. You're always going to get a wingsuit. You're always going to get a grappling hook. You're always going to get a sniper rifle and a handgun and a shotgun and a machine gun.
Even in is it something similar or analogous in Primal?
In Primal, they use the same skeleton, but obviously, you're not going to hand a caveman a machine gun. It's
Well, yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
like,
But do you get something
here's
that is
here,
like a
here
sniper?
upgraded spear, here club, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the
that's
same,
all I was
yeah,
asking.
yeah. But yeah, you can very much tell they even. I'm not necessarily. This isn't necessarily a gripe, but they use the same map as Far Cry 3 as with Primal. They're the same map. They just
Mm.
aged it back to
Oh, now
prehistoric
that's some serious
times.
recycling.
Yeah.
Hmm. Concern.
So unless Ubisoft can show me that they are going to iterate in a way that's innovative, I'm not going to be partaking in this one.
Not
That's
even
Even
pretty
for
fair.
Giancarlo, or I can't remember his last name.
yeah,
Apologies.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes,
I can get him in other flavors. I can get him in Star Wars flavor, and I can get him in Breaking Bad flavor. And I'm sure he's done
that
other
Star Wars
things.
flavor is the one I'm really interested in right now.
Star Wars flavors.
Yeah.
Just
I
saying.
I don't think any amount of name recognition is going to pull me in more than their ability to innovate in a different way that they haven't already, if that makes sense.
It does. What about you, Arcadius? Do you have Far Cry experience, and what did you think about this trailer?
Nope. I've never played a Far Cry, and the reason being is kind of like what he stated, is it's very samey to a lot of games, and running around and just trying to defeat a lunatic, and that's all there is to it, has never really appealed to me. I like stories that have a little more meat to them,
Meat.
but yeah, I've just never gotten into a Far Cry game, and nothing about them has really gripped me as being appealing, because it's one thing to run around and feel pretty OP, but like once you've completed some main story and done that, like the game's done. Replayability to me is like next to zero. So, and I'm not one of those people that likes to sit in the open world and screw around for hours on end like other people like to for those kinds of
Hmm.
games. So
Hmm.
I am not the target audience for giving that game extended life.
However, if I were a teenager, if I were like 16 and still in high school and had a bunch of time and no money, and I only got like 3 video games a year, the
Then you
ability
could
to
make the most out of it.
the
Yeah.
ability to fuck around in an open world would be something that would be
Oh,
more
you I think you
appealing
dropped
to
out.
me.
Okay, there you go.
Well, that the game itself doesn't really appeal to me, um, at all. Um, what did you guys think about the cinematic trailer for it?
I thought it was nicely done. I thought, um, and this is a problem with a lot of like facial capture when it comes to video games. Uh, when they speak, their mouth flappies are not correct.
It just opens and closes minimally. You don't get the full facial structure, which to me I thought is odd, because I know for a fact they had to have motion captured his face to get that level of fidelity
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
accuracy. So if you're going to motion capture his face and then you're going to capture voice lines, why wouldn't you do it all at once?
Well, I'm sure
Unless the
they did.
logistics of that.
The problem is the translation of movement between real human skin and muscle pull to
No, it's
digital human skin and muscle
well,
pull.
digital point cloud is probably more specifically, because getting the point cloud points to line up just so with what we'd consider infinite points on a single texture surface, that translation I can buy being hard to do. However, I yeah, it's still very flappy. Is one way else to put it. There's just
Like
no better way to put it.
you can take a look at the way that actor speaks when he is in like when he's being Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad, and you can tell that the way that he moves his mouth, the way that his chin goes up and down, his demeanor is much more metered than the way the mouth flaps worked in the Far Cry 6 demo.
Yes.
And that I know is like an industry-wide problem because it is so hard to do faces. It's
Hmm.
so hard.
It's always been.
That's like a video game Final Frontier moment is when they will
When
be
you're able
able
to fully
to.
render a skin texture as if it was in real life
Yeah,
100%. That'll
absolutely.
be the apex in like another maybe 5 years or so. Ray tracing's awesome, but it ain't no normal human face.
Yeah. I think that's about all I have to say about that shit.
Yeah.
We can absolutely move on if you want.
All right. Well, there's only one game left, and I'm correct in saying it this time.
Yay! What is it, Fast?
Why, that would be Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
No, it can't
You
be.
don't say.
This is a
The game
game.
we've all been waiting for.
This is a game that I probably will play.
Out
They're
of all the
pretty.
Assassin's Creeds, this one looks better, in my
They're
opinion.
they're pretty good at hooking me into Assassin's Creeds, even when after playing them I find out that they're still all samey in a Ubisoft way. I played I played Origins and I liked it. I liked the direction that they went with how they changed things. But Odyssey is a reskin of Origins.
That's pretty sad to
And
hear, honestly.
and I'm hoping that Valhalla is not just a reskin of Odyssey.
I don't think it is, and here's why. I think the dev time makes me think that it's not a reskin of it. However, just by looking at the gameplay, which I and the combat system, which I actually really liked, it makes me think that it is For Honor the game.
Like a more drawn
Yes.
out story from For Honor.
Mhm. For Honor, and and I mean that in a good way because I actually liked the combat in For Honor, and I liked what they were doing there, and I just feel like, and I could be totally wrong, I don't know, but it looks like the Ubisoft teams like cross pollinated there, and they took some of the really cool um, combat stances or classes or however you want to call them from For Honor. They kind of implemented them into this Assassin's Creed game, and I got
Good.
that from like the weapons that they were using,
Hmm.
um,
That's
as well as
good.
a couple other
Because
things.
the For Honor mechanics were awesome. Just the
Yeah.
players were
Yeah.
garbage.
And that mostly has to do with like
They never
ping.
fixed their brokenness
It
as
was
part of their
like
problems.
that was it, and also it had to do with like ping and like
Yeah.
the player interaction that came with PvP, which was not solid enough to keep up with what they demanded of you doing in that close of a contact.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So what else? They had a lot. They actually had a lot in their initial presentation, and they showed us 30 minutes of gameplay. So what did you guys think about that?
I liked it. I think it's going to be really great to be able to beat people's faces in with whatever weapon that you choose. I like the brutality aspect of it. You know me, I do love my brutality.
But
Hmm.
it's Viking fashion, so it's accurate brutality.
Accurate brutality. Uh, it was fun to watch. I hope it's just as fun to play. I was not happy in seeing the stamina gauge because
A little bit of a turnoff.
that right there reminded me of Dark Souls.
Ooh.
Like the entire mechanic around a stamina bar became popular with the advent of Dark Souls. And dude, that's not a genre that I
You're just
enjoy.
thinking to yourself, no, no, you stop it right now.
Yeah. And I know that's like such an industry darling. Like there is the vocal Dark Souls community that really really likes that game, and there are people that don't play Dark Souls, and then like there's the industry at large, and the industry at large hails the Dark Souls franchise as so like amazingly
Life
amazing.
changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
And
industry changing. That we could not exist without it. Whatever would we do with our lives if this game did not exist?
they act like it changed the game, and as far as we're concerned it did, because the people that make games think the game has changed because of it.
It's like, no, stop it.
Yeah,
Don't
you
be
you
deceived.
you stop that. You quit that right now. Oh. But yeah, I'm gonna be playing it. That's the only Ubisoft game in their entire lineup that they've showed me that I'm going to be playing.
So can we get a little granular, or do we? Were there anything else that we wanted to mention
Oh,
about Assassin's Creed before I ask this question?
ask away.
What did we think about the presentation overall, and did it fit as a E3 filler?
Mm,
I thought there, if it was E3-ish, I thought there would be maybe more. They would have shown gameplay in each of the individual games that they showed. but I guess that's not necessarily a requirement. That would have been my own expectations.
Well, ooh, what we're seeing now is probably what they had lined up for E3 that was coming down the pipeline before COVID struck, right?
Hmm.
I let's see, but I think that if it was that was the case, there would have been more there.
That's my feeling. Is this would have been a short E3 segment for them if that was the case.
Well, did Ubisoft is Ubisoft one of those companies that has pulled out of E3 and like had their own thing? Like they've had their own presentation for a really long time, right? Is it one of those things where uh, 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 okay, where that was just what they had, and the reason why it seemed so short was because it was a digital presentation where they didn't have a talking head, they didn't have an Aisha Tyler with the shirt on that says girl boner across the front of it. Like all of that is like filler, and we didn't really get that. We only got the people that talk about the game and the game.
No, but I'm saying we didn't get as many games as they usually have on the stage. Like they only talked about Watch Dogs Legions, Brawlhalla, Might and Magic, Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, Rainbow Six Siege, and that was really just a thank you, which I feel like they had on the stage last year too, like a thank you.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
Hyperscape, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then there's more trailer. So that's 8 games. And let me pull up receipts real quick just to see it, make sure I'm not lying. Um,
They didn't show us any new version of Just Dance.
yeah, that's one that's missing.
They didn't show us any Rabbids stuff.
That's also missing. So.
Uh,
Okay, so for 2019,
uh-huh.
Ubisoft had Watchdog Legions,
Eh.
Mythic Quest, Raven's Banquet, Rainbow Six Siege, Brawlhalla with Adventure Time, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, Just Dance, Rainbow Six Quarantine. I knew there was another Rainbow Six thing. The Division 2, Roller Champions, and Gods and Monsters.
Oh, dang, Gods and Monsters.
So that's like about 11 things. And one of the things that they mentioned is that they'll have another showcase, another Ubisoft Forward later on this year.
That's true. That's
So they
true.
split it into 2 parts, you think, to drag it out?
Well,
Maybe, or maybe they're just trying out like this as a new vehicle to get information out because it's got to be at least 100 times cheaper than what they were
oh
doing
yeah.
Oh
for.
yeah.
Do you think they picked the games such that their presentation would fall within the time period of an hour? Because that presentation was about an hour long. If you
Yeah,
cut out like the 30-minute gameplay of Assassin's Creed and all that junk. Oh crap.
that could be it.
If they just had, okay, we want to fill an hour and we want to show somebody an hour's worth of stuff that we've been working on. What do we have?
And then
And
parse it
then
down to fit that.
and then they had that. Oh,
That could be it. Like I said, these were just questions that were
yeah.
popping into my head as we were watching.
Yeah. Well, the pigmen are attacking me. And I'm also lost in the nether. I certainly hope I
Uh,
have keep inventory on. 'Cause
I
I could
hope
die.
Yes, you do, because I've already
Okay.
died.
Alright.
So, any final thoughts about the presentation or in general for Ubisoft and or anything that we know about what's to come?
Um, I was a little disappointed in that I got zero update or mention of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah.
They've been
Just a
holding that
little
one pretty
crumb.
tight.
Just
Yeah,
a crumb.
like
Ubisoft, just give me a little more.
we haven't forgot about it. We're still working on it. That kind of thing.
Like another mini trailer of whether it be some experimental gameplay or heck, even some
Oh,
more.
I'm dead.
Oh.
Okay, I still have all my stuff.
Okay. It just showed that you died.
I'm at the old boss.
Um,
I'm at the old base though.
okay. Yeah, I would have thought something. Like even just the bare mention in like some new concept art that they showed for it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're still working on it. We're still stealing ideas with the Hit Record partnership. But no, we didn't really get anything. I guess it's kind of nose to the grindstone for them or something. I'm
I
gonna
sure
give them the
hope so.
benefit of the doubt, you know. I know that what they're doing is ambitious and difficult. So I'm just gonna let them do it. But
Ooh, do you think they've held off on it for the development of Unreal 5 integration?
Oh,
if
don't say that.
they, oh my God, if they did Unreal 5, well,
So imagine that for a second. You're in the throes of like maybe not even halfway into development, and then your other department goes, "Hey guys, we might have Unreal 5 ready in 5 months to use as a development tool," and then the
Oh,
leads might go, "Ooh,
ugh,
ooh."
here,
oh,
eh,
gee,
here's another thing to think about with that though. Unreal 5
no.
Yeah,
is an epic property.
yeah.
Ubisoft has an engine, a proprietary engine for them to use, and it's Unity.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to switch off of a proprietary engine.
Then would they be upgrading their proprietary engine to compete?
I don't know. It's always possible that they could be doing that. And if they did that, that means that they would have to redo everything
Yes.
in order
Hence the
to
delay and why they're not
get all
speaking
that.
about it. Because the more they don't speak about it, the more they can just keep doing what they're doing and not have to answer to the masses.
Yeah.
Mmm. Methinks.
Do I have an axe?
Well,
Let me get an
I
axe.
mean, what we saw previously in the other E3s, like 27's trailer, and then it's not 27's trailer, 2017's trailer, and then some of the Space Monkey updates. Like the engine they have it in, it isn't bad at all. But just the thought of it on what we've seen from Unreal 5 made me really happy.
I'm just throwing that might be a remote, slightly infinitesimally possible possibility.
I
Yeah.
mean, speculation zone, my friend.
Yeah.
We live for it.
We
Mm-hmm.
do. We have a section of our podcast dedicated to it. The
So here's the thing.
speculation zone.
Speculation zone. So here's what I was missing from this Ubisoft Forward. Where is the Skull and Bones game?
Okay. Okay. I said I had an idea about that.
Yes, you did.
So
Speak.
that game is being worked on by Ubisoft Singapore, and they were an auxiliary team that worked on a whole bunch of titles but never headed a title until Skull and Bones. And Skull and Bones itself was ripped out of the popularity of Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yes. For good
And
reason.
for good reason. Everybody liked the ship to ship combat of Black Flag. I think that the idea of ship to ship combat in that way has passed out of the gamer's consciousness.
Or the
The
fervor it had when it came out.
the
Take too
idea,
too long.
they took, well, I don't want to say they took too long because that makes it sound like they weren't working as hard as they could.
Oh no, I don't mean it like that. I just mean that in game development, like it takes more than a year to develop like a big flagship type game. Like it just takes a long time to bring something like that
Yeah.
fully realized. So they may have took too long. I have an opposite idea of that, but continue on.
So they they are now working on a game that they know will not have the same pull that it did around the same time that, say, Sea of Thieves came out, because that was much closer to the I want to be a pirate mentality as where we are now, which is firmly in the idea of battle royales and cyberpunk.
Mm.
So now that they're working on that, I'm not sure if that is ever actually going to come to fruition. It's one of those games that had a really, really cool trailer and then never really materialized anything.
Disappeared and you'll never see the
Like
light of day
kind of
again.
like Scalebound. Evidently, there is a there's a huge, huge, huge industry reason why Scalebound was never released, but it's very hush hush about why that
What's
happened.
Scalebound again?
Scalebound was supposed to be a launch title for Xbox One, and it showed a whole bunch of really badass people fighting a dragon. And I'm gonna pull the trailer and send you the link to it, but um, it just never happened. Like they showed one trailer and then it kind of disappeared. And I mean, that was Platinum Games, I believe, and Platinum Games also makes Nier Automata. So, like, they weren't hurting for talent or for money. It just never
It
happened.
just evaporated.
It just evaporated. And I think Skull and Bones is going to be one of those games that had a really cool trailer and just evaporated.
See, I would argue, and I just love being in the speculation zone, but I would argue that since Ubisoft has such a good track record that I have seen for using and reusing assets, that will see their work somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not I'm
Um,
not saying that their work went to waste. I'm saying that we're not going to get a Skull and Bones.
well, but I was going to finish that by saying, but I think that we will still receive some kind of Skull and Bones type game
Really?
because I do, um, because that ship to ship combat is really, it's still really popular. The sea shanties still get sung by young men and women who've never even been near to the ocean, but that's what they're doing. Just kidding. I love the sea shanties too. Um,
Give me that she said shit. Mm.
but yeah, I think it's going to come out. Now, what is it going to look like? Is it going to be a Sea of Thieves type game? Is it going to be?
That's not
I
really
don't
how
know.
they planned it, right? As far
I
as
don't remember
I
what.
as far as I remember, it was going to be like ship Mortal Kombat kind of, like a one-on-one kind of.
That seems
Ship
intense.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's Vic says hi. Hi Vic.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah. Or at least that was the idea that I got from what I saw. You know what I mean?
Um, I don't remember it, to be perfectly honest with you, other than the graphics looked really cool, the ships looked really amazing, and I was just really curious about where they were going to go with it.
Yeah. I mean, I was right there with you. It looked real
hmm
cool.
And I
Insert
do feel like
video.
there's,
You are a pirate.
Yeah.
and I do feel like there's still um, a wave of piraetry
You
in
Are
there.
can't
we
think of
just
that video and
imagining the
not giggle.
ninja digging with his crotch?
You can't not think of that.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry we cut you off fast. We
No,
were
no, you're
both
fine.
giggling. We had to
tis a
address
video
it.
near and dear to
We
my
had
heart.
to address it.
Well, it's really good.
Yar, har, fiddly dee.
You are a pirate.
we, we we can continue now. I'm sorry. We apologize for
Yeah,
that aside.
kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. I mean, it was kind of worth it. Let's be
Yeah, it
honest.
was. It was.
Where were we going with this?
Oh, I was just about to make a pun and say there's still a wave of
Oh.
piratery in the
Blah.
gaming industry, and
Huh.
I think we'll still see it. Like there are plenty of people out there who still want to be a pirate.
Yeah. I mean, I would welcome it. I don't know if it's going to be successful. That's a completely different thing.
All right, this is the time where I go ahead and say that this is my idea. I will copyright it if I need to, but Ubisoft, call me if we want to convert that into sky piratery, because that's what people really want,
Ooh,
to be a sky
Sky
pirate.
Pirates. That's what was the Disney movie that had Sky Pirates in it? Something
It was
Treasure Planet?
Treasure
Yes. Well,
Planet.
it's more like space pirates, kind of sky pirates, kind of.
There was also
Was it?
Tailspin, which
But
I
that
loved.
but that had like birds with no pants, right?
Yeah, those are pantsless people.
Yeah.
Not everyone, like Shere Khan had pants.
My God,
Okay.
I sure hope he had
So
pants.
what? They had pants on the evil guy. They're vilifying pants.
Yes, pants are evil. Watch out, kids.
Oh, fast. What have you done,
Vilified pants, that's what's happened.
man?
I missed the mole. God dang it! Messing around with you guys, Mr. Mole.
Well, we're doing a podcast. Well, we're doing a reaction. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there was also Titan AE. Did y'all watch that?
Oh yeah, I watched that. That was a good
Dude,
one.
Titan AE was cool.
I really liked that one. Not a
I
lot of
like
people
that
have
one
ever
too.
watched it, and I was like, really? Because it's been out a while, and
I've
it was
seen the film. I enjoyed the film. It was Don Bluth, and I always liked his animation style, even though
Don
he
Bluth. Mm.
really screwed up my childhood and of many other children who were born in the '80s, early enough to remember his his animated movies, and how
His
scarring they could
Rasputin
be.
character was always super creepy.
Oh my gosh.
Total aside, yeah. On that was it Anastasia, that movie? Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Oh, I
creepy.
never watched that, but
Okay,
I
you can go back and
remembered
enjoy some Don
I
Bluth, but
remember
that
that
dude's straight
weird
up
pink
creepy.
bat thing.
Well, yeah, there's that guy, but like straight up Don Bluth creepy Rasputin, like all over. If you
Was
like the
a
creepiness, you'd love that Rasputin he did.
Okay. You know I
was
love my creep.
Oh, he got plenty of it, trust me.
He's
No
got
shortage.
plenty of it.
No shortage.
Scarred many a child.
Yeah, very few have escaped.
But what was the?
I don't even remember
Oh
what
my
we were
god!
talking about it now.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought there.
Sorry, Don Bluth does that.
Yeah, he does.
Eh, hip, hip,
What?
hip.
What were we talking about?
Skull and Bones?
Skull and Bones.
Everybody wants to be a pirate. Sky Pirates. There's not a
Yeah.
really good Sky Pirate game, and so I think you could very easily, not very easily, but conceptually, you could very easily transfer the idea of a water-faring pirate to the sky-faring pirate and make a really cool game that way. And I have many, many ideas, Ubisoft, of a way to build a narrative around that. Please call me
They're
and
going
pay
to
me.
they're going to be saying something along the lines of, well, that's what we were attempting to do with Beyond Good and Evil 2. And if you just like to contribute to our hit record initiative, you can also be ripped off with all of the things that you make.
Oh, what if we see the results of their work in Beyond Good and Evil 2?
We might,
That might be why they're taking extra
like
times for
like
that
Skull and
integration.
Bones.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, like ship to ship combat.
But it's in
That's but it's
space.
in space or in what do you call the area? High altitude, such and such.
Like
Stratosphere.
Stratosphere.
Stratosphere. Thank you.
I don't know that chain shot will be as applicable with a spaceship
High stratosphere ships.
or grape shot. Grape shot might work. Grape shot would be decent. Maybe. I'm not saying
We'll see.
no. I'm not saying no.
What is A
Uh,
possibility.
Good. Good. Get me out of this portal. Stop wiggling my screen. What do you? Oh, okay, I'm good. So, are we?
I'm kind of out of ideas now.
Yeah, are we done?
I think so. Ubisoft Forward. We watched it. We enjoyed it. There are sadly few games that we were going to play, but overall, good showing, and we're interested in seeing how Ubisoft continues this trend and what they're going to bring for their next Ubisoft Forward show.
Indeed.
Yeah. Do you wanna officially take us out, Vast? You haven't done that, right?
No, no, you go ahead. I like how you do it
Oh,
with
really?
the thing
Okay.
and the thing.
Well, we are Durnami Gaming, and we have finished up here today. If you like what you hear, you want to be part of our small but very intense community, you can subscribe and talk to us. And we have all of the social medias. And if you didn't enjoy what you were uh, listening to or watching, why are you here? You can go somewhere else. Um, I have been Scorch. We had Arcadius and Vast Empires. Uh, that's it. We'll see y'all later.